I try to do all my filings right before a major holiday. That way it's in a skeleton crew, and nobody's paying attention. Everybody's out partying. It's one of those George Washington things, even when they're sleeping on Christmas Eve and they're all partying and drunk. The United States government does the same thing, too. On January 1st, they make all the revisions to the statutes or the codes. They do all the revisions when everybody's partying their asses off on Christmas, New Year's Eve. They'll sign the last little bit of legislation for the year. They've done it throughout history. It's a really long history of them sneaking acts of Congress in, on New Year's Eve just before midnight and told everybody to go home. And when all the senators and congressmen went home, like say they were home, the Democrats would open up the Congress and they'd have a quick vote and they'd slide something through at the very last minute. So, everybody else would be like, the Democrats would stick around Washington, D.C., and when the Republicans go home, well, the Republicans would do it to the Democrats. It's pretty sneaky stuff. So I see that it works, and it's worked out throughout history. So this is what I try to tell people. When I file something, there's a long, process to this, a long thought-out process. Yes, is it simple? Yes, but I also want to get in there when nobody's paying attention. I want to get in there when they're all drunk or they're all partying or they're all, went on early vacation. So I go in there, like I said, when nobody's paying attention. We said, this is going to be great. We're just going to do a Lentz court at circuit court. And it was funny, I usually put in a nice big bold letters, the name of the court at the top. I said, nah, what? Bold letters. I'm going to go in there with nice little small, regular 12, 13 font, real just normal thin, not big fat letters that screams out Karl Lentz, the Lentz court at circuit court of Augusta County. I said, no, let's make it nice and simple. Let's make it nice little 12 font, nothing standing out. And this nice little old lady, when she got there, it only took us 12 minutes, maybe. By the time we walked in and the time we walked out, it wasn't very long. So what was fun about that is we got in there and we put the paperwork. And she said, oh, I've seen stuff like this before. I was like, yeah, she's seen my stuff like this before because I just did 2 of them from my brother, Frank. And she said, you're supposed to be doing this stuff across the street. You're supposed to be doing the initial filing across the street. But we attached a bill at the very bottom, and the bill was, how much was the bill for? Like $5 million or something like that? $5 million. Yeah, 5, whatever, yeah. For the 2 kids for the 30 days, the 30-day bill for the 2 kids, it was like 2 point something each month. So we did the $1 a second. So when she said, we're supposed to do this across the street, I'm like, well, I think across the street is like small claims court, and and I believe I'm in a proper court for this. And she said, well, the judge is probably just going to kick it out. You're going to have to bring it across the street. And I said, no, I think Mr. Ludwig, he knows who I am. He knows what I'm doing. I think he'll let us stay in this venue. I believe it's proper, man. So then I was very nice. Donald said I was charming. That I was telling her that you're from England and trying to do misdirection, I guess he was saying. Trying to keep her from reading too much of the paper. Not that I do something like that. But the lady actually saw I attached exhibits. I attached Exhibit A, B, and Exhibit P. A was my child, B was my child, and P was Exhibit P, like Patrick, for property. So I put an Exhibit P for property, like the definition of the word property. And the definition I used was out of their dictionary. It wasn't out of my dictionary, it was out of their dictionary. So I didn't want them to give me any nonsense and tell me, what the hell do you mean by property? I said, okay, instead of using John Locke or anything cute, I said, why don't I just use it straight out of their law dictionaries? And it was very simple definitions. It's like the ones I use in my, they even wrote it, cut, copy, and paste this out of my dictionary as well. Just a section. The property in my dictionary, probably like 3 pages long, but I just used the ones that they were familiar with. And it just says property. 1, that which is peculiar or proper to any person, that which belongs exclusively to one. So see, that's right out of their law dictionary, out of their legal dictionaries. And then number 2, it says in the strict legal sense, an aggregate of rights which are guaranteed and protected by the government. And there's an actual citation there underneath that, power versus state. So Fulton Light, heat, power versus state. And then number 3 was just the term is said to extend to every valuable right and interest. And this is what the whole lawsuit is going to be about, is interest. So most people don't understand what I'm doing. This is the word that I'm using to move my court, is interest. When you invest in something, when you put something into something, you expect to get interest out of it. This is all commercial. So I have what they would call a vested interest in my property. I put I put life to it. I'm the one who put it on planet Earth. I'm the one who worked and labored, and I'm the one who produced it. I'm the one who created it. And obviously, I passed it on to the mother. When me and her joined together, we became one. So we are the same person when it pertains to this child, this property, this daughter, the son. And we became one. So she could come forth and make a claim if she wanted to, and she just have as much standing as I would. And then we just go based upon ancient traditions and beliefs that since these are girls, obviously, if the mom and I couldn't live together, obviously the girls would go to the mom. And I don't want to hear none of this Canadian nonsense about we're all equal. No, we're not. There's only certain things a mom could teach a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl that a man could only imagine. So I wouldn't even want to try to imagine and screw their lives up by having me rear them when there's a mom or a woman available in their life that could explain things to them a lot better than I could ever dream of explaining. And that's why I always laugh at women when they say, you think you could raise a son to be a man? It's the most ridiculous nonsense I ever heard, because there's no way in the world I could rear a girl into being a woman. There's no way. I'm going to leave out so much information for her, and I don't have that certain nuance and style or rhythm. I just won't be able to carry it that a woman could, impart to another woman. So it's just ridiculous to think, that I could possibly do it. If there's a female available, believe me, I leave the girls with the females. If there's a boy involved, obviously I'm going to take him on, once he reaches a certain age, because a boy has to be, reared by a man. It's like a woman could say to him, you have to open doors for women. And then he'd say, why? I thought we were equal. I thought men and women were equal. I think, like, Mom, I thought you said women are equal to men. Why do I have to open a door for a woman? Or you might have a woman who's rearing a boy and think that it's chauvinistic that a boy is opening a door for a woman. She might be a feminist and say, no, you don't open doors for women. You let them open their own damn door. That might be the feminist point of view. So to me, a boy has to be reared by a man, taught by a man. And it's like, look, I'll explain to him, son, this is how this world works lately. We open doors for women. Yes, they're going to squeal and say, you're chauvinistic and you're a pig. We got to take the ridicule and we got to be mocked. Yes, we have to take the abuse from them. Yes, we have to tolerate it. Yes, they have a certain agenda, but we still have to do what is right. Regardless of whatever the popular trend is at the moment, we still have a duty and obligation to do what is right at all times, regardless of whatever the general consensus is, what the democratic people in this country vote. That 51% of us say we're equal and we don't open doors for each other anymore. We don't care what the mob rules. We do what is right. Whether we're the only ones that agree out of 10 million or 10 billion, we do what is right. And we know what's right because God put it in our heart. So we know what the right thing to do is. We don't even have to think about it. We know it's right because it feels correct. It feels right. So number 4 on that definition of property, it says more specifically ownership. So there you go. This is right out of their legal dictionary. It says 5, the unrestricted and exclusive right to a thing, as in the right to 1, dispose of a thing in every legal way, 2, to possess it, 3, to use it, and 4, to exclude everyone else from interfering with its use. So I made it crystal clear that those children are my property. They're exclusive to me to use and enjoy. They belong exclusively to one. And when these people get it up in an uproar, they say, oh man, this horrible thing that you say, it's like, hey, it's right in the dictionary. Why is it horrible? Why is it a horrible thing to say that they're property? Because the definition of property in their legal dictionary says property within constitutional protection. It denotes a group of rights inhering a citizen's relation to a physical thing, as right to possess and the right to use and dispose of it. So they could say that's a horrible thing. They keep saying that it's your property. And I say, well, to them, well, you could call her, I call her sunshine or cupcake or powder puff or my rainbow pony. I call her whatever the hell I wish to call her. Don't worry why I call her what I call her. Because when she throws a rock through your window, you're going to come walking out in that parking lot and you're going to say, who does this kid belong to? Who? Who is going to be liable for the damages that she created into this world? Who created this little monster? Whose monster is this? Who's going to bear liability for setting this forth out to society? Who? And they're going to look at me and say, good, now you pay for the damages, or you go to jail for her. So I'm the one who's going to bear liability. I'd love to have somebody tell me that I don't have a vested interest in her. And anybody who comes forth, they would have to say that they have a superior interest in that which is mine, or my child, or my car, or my hula hoop, or my glass of water. Somebody would have to say that they have a superior interest in my, whatever that is, what I claim is mine. So the big thing with this, what's going on with this, the girl in the court, or the two girls now in the court, is they're going to try to bring somebody forth who's going to say, that she or the governor, like I said, I'm just going after the director of social services, because thank God I went there before the children were taken. I did a preemptive strike, and I went to them because I kind of had an idea that this was what was going to go down. So when Frank was taken into custody, I figured it's only a matter of time before the girls were taken. And that's exactly, my mom sent me the email from her attorney. I'll read the email from her attorney. The reason why they took the kids is because Mike the cop was afraid I was going to interfere with his police investigation and convict Frank. And they were actually asking me to leave the home until after Frank's conviction. And once Frank is convicted, then I could come back towards my girls. But they did not want me here because I could dissuade the girls to not testify against Grandpa. So that is the reason why they took them. So took the girls. And it's actually literally what my mom's attorney wrote. So I'm waiting for the Google to pop up here so I can pop it up and show you folks. Anyway, like I said, the big thing is vested interest. They're going to try to explain that they have a vested interest in that. And I'm going to, is this what's great about calling them out with a vested interest is you would say, oh yeah, did you bring the paperwork to prove how much you actually, vested within this child? How much did you actually put into it? You're going to have to actually show me the dollar amount. You're going to have to show me a spreadsheet. You're going to have to show me the exact, what you invested in, the exact whatever you put into it. And there's no way in the world they're going to be able to get it to the penny. There's no way. But that's the way their world moves. Their world moves to the penny. So, like I said, one of the most evil things, one of the best things I ever heard a president of was Barack Obama saying that the greatest gift that our forefathers gave us was the right to self-governance. And he totally flipped it around in the very next breath. And he said, if you don't like the way the government is at this time, wait 4 years, elect a whole new, set of politicians, a whole new set of congressmen, whole new president, and reverse everything that we did. So what he was basically saying is, right, our forefathers gave us the right to self-govern. And he tried to spin that into saying they gave us the right to vote. Oh, really? No, I got the right to self-govern, and that means I don't need anybody to vote for anybody to be my leader to tell me how to govern myself. So in the same breath, it was kind of weird how he just basically just went right from the greatest gift our forefathers gave us, and I think that was October 17th, 2013. He said that it was around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning at some, breakfast, luncheon, or whatever he had going on. But that's where that quote comes from if you're looking for it. But then the very next breath he says, if you don't like the way the government is running, wait a couple of years, vote us all out, you take control, and then your mob rules. Well, he didn't say the mob rules, he said the democratic process. Then you become the 51%, and you tell the 49 what to do. But right now, we're in control, we're the 51%, and we're going to control you 49, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, well, in a couple of years, you can vote us all out, and then you can control us, and then we'll lose all our rights, we'll lose all our freedoms, we'll lose everything, because you people voted that way, that you take everything away from us. So that was pretty insane how they went from such a nice, wonderful sentence by just saying, one of the greatest gifts our forefathers gave us was the right to self-governing, governance, to saying, and if you don't like what we're doing to you now, just wait 4 years and do it to us, flip it around and, abuse and, suppress us, and take away our rights and our freedoms. And right now I'm in charge, and this is the way the hell it's going down, whether you like it or not. And then the other crazy thing that I heard his speechwriters create for him one time was saying, before I leave office, the United States government is going to have an interest in all of the United States children. And that was one of the most evil things I heard him say, is because they're going to try to claim that they have an interest in our children. And if they have an interest in our children, then they have the right to make a claim to have them returned, and they become claimants. There's a claimant is somebody who's making a declaration or a statement that he wants property returned to him. I don't want any fictional entity called any government, the United States government, Mongolian government, Syrian government, any government, having the capacity to say that they have a vested interest in a man or woman or flesh and blood. That's insane. That some, creation of man is going to try to say that they put something into that creation called man or woman or child or girl or boy. That's just nuts. That's just totally effing nuts. But like I said, what they try to do is they try to convince you folks that this is just the way it's always been. The government's always been in control, and this is just the way it's always been because we've been, birthed into this society, and this is all we know. And we forgot, like the wilderness kind of people, the people who came here, had to self-govern. They couldn't wait for the Parliament or England or France or the Dutch to tell them what to do. People who first landed here had to make it on their own. And as time's gone by, we forgot how to do things on our own. So like I said, we went to the courthouse, and it went really smoothly. We put the paperwork in. The court clerk lady, she went through the exhibits. Because most times I tell people, look, if you go in there to the court clerk's office, during normal business hours, they're going to have keepers at the gate that are going to make sure that you can't slide paperwork in like I did. They're going to make sure, they're going to say, oh, the exhibit. Like I said, when the lady saw the exhibit of a baby, of the girl, well, she's 12, 13, whatever you want to call it. Going to put a teenager's pictures in there, and then another girl. Most court clerks, or clerks of the courts, the court clerk is the head of the court clerk. The court of the clerk's office is the court clerk. Almost everybody that you're going to encounter is just a clerk of the court, not the court clerk. So what happens is you're going to run into the people who are not at the top of the ladder. So, but still, if they saw something like I dropped into that lady's lap, I dropped a picture of children into her lap, and most clerks of the court would say, "Sir, is that a picture of a child?" It's like, this is a what? I thought this was a property. I thought you were talking about property here. Why is there a picture of a child in here? So some court clerks might actually try to get curious and try to say, no. If this is a family court issue, you're definitely going to have to take it across the street over to juvenile domestic court. You can't do it. Whatever you're thinking about doing, just forget about it. I'm not going to let it go through. So me and Donald, that's why I had him record it. I was waiting for the clerk of the court to say something about why in the world are pictures of children as exhibits, in this case, that you're trying to present to me, that you're trying to get me to file for you. So I was all set, with my whole rhetoric to say, look, ma'am, if you wish to interfere with my right to access this court, I'm going to have to call up your boss over at the Attorney General's office, and they're going to have to explain to you that you just need to file my claim. Now, if the court wishes to kick it out, that's between I and the court. It has nothing to do with the clerk of the court's office or the court clerk's office. It has nothing to do with you folks and me. So just let it go through. So I was all set for that whole spiel. I was all set, because I've done it plenty of times with those folks down there, gone down with that storyline. And that's how I actually had to go up to the court clerk that one time. But obviously it never came before an open court. And honestly, it was just a way to just get them to pay attention to what I was doing and let me put my paperwork through, which they let me do years ago then, after I filed a claim against her. But the whole thing is, you got to understand, you go up to the court clerk. She's the one who assigns the judges his schedule. She's the one who assigns the judges his workload. She's the one who cuts the judge his check. So she's the money, she's the financier, she's the accounting division of the courthouse. So obviously the judge doesn't want to piss her off. So obviously you're not going to get too many judges who are willing to let you sit in judgment of the lady who cuts him his check. So he's not going to be too apt to want to hear that. You'd have to find more like a retired judge to go after something like that, or like I do. I wait till they have me there for some other reason, and then I'll slip that claim in as well. So that way there is a judge seated, and I'll try to get my case heard at the same time they're doing a traffic ticket. So I'll try to slide it in at the same time. Say, hey, since I'm going to be in the neighborhood, let's do it both on the same day. But anyway, we went there to the court clerk's office, and we were ready. Like I said, she looked at the suit, and she reads the suit. And she goes, okay, man, lands claim, wrong trespass, failure to restore property. See, I'm going for the failure to restore property. I'm not going for the taking and carrying off of property, because they could say they were totally justified that I had placed my child in a private institution or a private school or a private home or a private dwelling, and something went wrong. And when that went wrong, they jumped in and say there was a fire that broke out in that private dwelling, a fire broke out in a private school. Whatever happened, something horrible happened, or the headmaster of the school, was caught, doing something or alleged to have done something. So they took the children and they placed it into the state custody, which was nice of them. Instead of letting the kids just sit out in the street, or instead of, they could have dropped them off at the church, I guess. But the state decided that they're going to step in and they're going to play mommy and daddy until the rightful owners, until the rightful mom and dad step in. So I decided to realize that they were going to do this. They were going to take Frank or whoever, it didn't matter who it was, and I realized that if I had any influence on the outcome of their hearing or their trial against the headmaster or the stepdad or step-grandpa, whatever you want to call them, that I realized that they were going to take the girls to protect their case. Because if they took the man for 1 second and whatever happened was not true, that man obviously could sue them for an unbelievable amount of money and basically probably bankrupt this county, bankrupt the court system, bankrupt everybody from what they did to them. So I realized that they were going to take the girls. So I went there, and my very next line of my lawsuit is that said I tendered a document of fair warning prior to the removal, Exhibit 1. Exhibit 1 was simple. I wrote to the attorney commissioner, and I wrote to the head director of social services, and I called them by name. I didn't actually say that they were director of anything. I didn't say he was commissioner or anything. And I just said I must require compensation of $1 a second for any use and enjoyment of my property in any manner which it may become into your or any county agent's or agency's possession. I said, I don't care if it was you stole it. I don't care if we make an agreement, a lawful agreement. I don't care if it was a legal seizure. I don't care. However it becomes into your possession, I'm going to seek compensation. Now, if you want to put them to work, I obviously have no control over that. What you're going to do? Are they going to be making Nike shoes while they're in entertainment? I don't know. Are you going to have them singing and dancing? I don't know. Because I know when that 6-year-old girl came back home from foster care when she was 6, she started doing all stripper pole moves around the Christmas tree buck naked on the first Christmas here. So obviously somebody's teaching her how to dance and perform. So when she comes back home this time, I don't care how she was performing or what you were doing with her. All I'm going to tell you is I'm going to require compensation because you're using and enjoying her in whatever manner you wish. Because there's absolutely nothing I'm going to be able to do about it anyway, is there? Because you got a gun pointed at my head. So obviously I'm going to require compensation. Because that's why I explained to them as well. The only reason you are going to have the capacity to take that which is mine and hold it from me is because if I go to collect it, you could have a gun pointed at my head, and you were going to kill me. So, however you want to word that, if you want to say, like they're going to say they have state law, which they've said a couple of times in some of these letters, which is hysterical, because Virginia is a commonwealth. It is not a state. So they're saying that they have state law that provides them this ability to do what they're doing. And I just laugh at them, and I used to say it's administrative. It's a policy from the executive branch. It has nothing to do with the legislative acts of Congress or our legislative branch here in the Commonwealth. It's not acting through the judiciary. It's acting, your courts, your family courts are all administrative through the executive branch. And somebody asked me, governor's office, said, well, who's your governor? I said, honestly, sir, I haven't had a governess since I was probably 2-3 years old. I said, if you're an adult and you still have a governess, that's pretty sad. Or if you have a male who's your governess, who's your governor, that's creepy. I said, I guarantee you, I've never had a governor. I said, I might have had a governess. But for I to have a governor at 50-something years old, that would be awfully creepy. That I couldn't take care of myself, that I couldn't wipe my own behind at 50-something years old, or wipe my nose, that I actually need some man to tell me what I can and cannot do. That'd be pretty creepy at this stage of life, that I need someone to direct me, somebody to control me, somebody to govern me. It'd be pretty creepy. So what was funny is, when we did this with the court clerk lady, I was worried that she was just going to go find somebody else and say, wait a second, I see a lot of crazy stuff in here. And I'm not sure about this. Let me go ask somebody above me. So like I said, thank God that she was a nice, sweet little 70-something-year-old lady. And she let the paperwork go through. Because after I gave them the fair warning, prior to them taking and carrying off that which was mine, I said to them, I said, I'm going to charge you either daily, weekly, monthly. I'm going to send you bills. I'm going to send you an invoice. And obviously, I'm going to send them an invoice. You know, I've already sent them a 30-day invoice. And what's even funnier, I'm going to send them a billing statement, you know, on Monday as well. And a billing statement is going to include next month's invoice or next month's bill that's going to be due. So it's going to be $5 million for the past 30 days. And then I'm going to give them a billing statement for the next 30 days. Well, it's going to basically be almost another 22 days that they're going to be looking at $10 million by January, 23rd. I think the billing cycle started on the 23rd. So I tendered them what was the next thing I wrote? Oh, a billing schedule. I made a delivery upon said road. There was a billing schedule prior to taking and carrying off the property. So then I told everybody what the billing statement was. It was hysterical what I wrote last week. You know, said, I man require from you a woman and or you as an acting agent for the county compensation rate of $1 per second, 24 hours a day for any use and enjoyment of my property, that which is mine, not yours. See Exhibit A, see Exhibit B. Same thing with Billy Ray Cyrus would basically be doing with Disney, saying, look, I will require of Disney compensation of this much money every day or every month for the use and enjoyment of Miley Cyrus. And they said to me, well, you know, Miley Cyrus had talent. I said, hey, I said, my kids are a triple threat. I said, the one girl certainly can act and say Grandpa did all this horrible stuff to her. I said, and the kid could sing. I said, she plays the clarinet. I said, and she dances. I said, she's a triple threat. I said, she can sing, dance, she can act. She's a hell of a performer. If they don't sign her up with Disney while they got her, well, that's to their, you know, they should. They should use her to their greatest use and enjoyment that they could get out of her. Why not? Why not use her for whatever they could get out of her at this point in time? I said, if they're just letting if they're not putting it to use, oh, well, that's not my problem. I said, how did you know that I wasn't going to try to see if she was good enough to star in a film yet? You know, who are you to say that what I can and cannot do with my child, that she's not worth $1 million? I said, you know, a day. Who's to say, you know, I just haven't met the right person at Disney yet. Who knows? Whatever. I said, but it's neither here nor there. I said, it's mine, it's not yours. Return and compensate. And so I gave them this contract prior to them taking and carrying it off, and they didn't dispel this contract. They didn't say, that's ridiculous, you know. They didn't say to me that, well, you know, we're not going to honor this. This is just your wish, that what you want, if we take and use your property, we're not agreeing to it. Okay, good. If you're not agreeing to it, fine, don't. And then when I take it to court, you will have the opportunity to explain to the jury that that's just total insanity. And then they'll determine whether or not I'm crazy or not. And this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to find out once and for all, does man have the right to property in this nation, on this land, or don't we? Does the government get to control man and man's property? As I was told by the state trooper who just came out of the police academy out there, he was told on the very first day that we do not have, that he does not, nor any state trooper has any power authority over his fellow man. That they can tell the man what he can and cannot do with his property. He cannot control the fellow man. He has no authority to do that, anything to his fellow man. You said, now let's talk about defendants. Now let's talk about suspects. Now let's talk about homeowners. Now let's talk about debtors. That we have control over. But we have no control over man or his property. So they're all taught this. So I don't want to hear that they weren't given full disclosure. Yes, they were. Because why were they given full disclosure at the academies? Because when they go out and they trespass upon man, the county, the states, the governments, the agencies that they work through or operate under are going to throw them under the bus and say, look, we told you a long time ago, you have no ability to control that which is man. You have no right to take that which is man. You have no right to hurt a man. You have no right to harm a man. So they're going to throw the agents under the bus and say they acted outside of their scope of authority. And we fully trained you folks, and if you read your training manual on page 1, line 3, it clearly says that you have no authority and control over your fellow man. And they're going to squeal and say, wait a second. But then you told us all this other stuff we could do. It's like, what we told you, let's talk about a drunk driver. Let's talk about a pedophile. Let's talk about somebody who failed to pay their taxes. Let's talk about a taxpayer. Let's talk about all this other stuff. So they forget that they're talking about a man. If you wish to be a taxpayer, that's fine. If you wish to be a driver, that's fine. If that's what you wish to be at that particular moment, if you wish to be an actor at that particular moment in time, that's fine. And you're going to understand what's going to happen when you act. And like I you can go back to one of my first shows. I said, I don't care if you're Sidney Poitier. I don't care if you're, I said, I don't care if you're, Lawrence Fishburne. I don't care if you're Orson Welles. I don't care if you're Laurence Olivier. I don't care how you play Othello. You're going to die. I don't care how you wish to be an actor. I don't care how you wish to be. This is only going to end one way. You're going to die. So if you wish to be a defendant, there's only one way this thing is going to end. It ain't going to be pretty. So when I say to you folks, when they ask you, make your appearance in court, ask, do you wish me to be a defendant? At this time, I can afford to move as a defendant. But I can take on the role of prosecutor or bailiff. I'm pretty good at that. I'm not sure how it would be as magistrate, but I certainly couldn't act as judge. But I'll appear, but I cannot at this time, in all good faith, and act as a defendant. I don't have 5 years or 7 years of, legal experience like you folks do. I didn't go to law school. I didn't pass the bar. So for me to appear in your court, in your legal proceedings, your legal setting, as a legal person, as a defendant, it's going to be ugly. I'm going to fail miserably. It's like you asked me to play Shakespeare. You asked me to play Othello. Hell, I'm not even black, and I didn't bring my black makeup. So how in the world am I going to carry this day? And it's going to be a horrible rendition of Othello. I don't know the lines. I don't know where I'm supposed to stand. I have no clue. No, I don't wish to have a coach, an attorney standing next to me. I don't wish to have any man or woman like that assigned to me to help me through this. And we made a joke during the week. We said, as they say, we'll have an attorney appointed for you. And we kind of made a off-color joke by saying something about if I want to get screwed, my wife has an assortment of toys next to her bedstand, and if I want to get screwed, I'll have my wife do it for me. I don't require an attorney at this time because I have no desire to be screwed. So, like I said, you don't tell them no, but you explain why you can't accept such a wonderful benefit at this time. And you don't literally say what I just did, but I'm trying to convey it that by getting an attorney, I cannot see the benefit. Feeling I see it's going to cause me harm, injury, or loss. I do not understand why you people would perceive it to be something that would be of aid or assistance to me. It would just cause harm to you, fellow man. You can say it nicely like that instead of saying, my wife's got an assortment of toys, and if I want to get, she'll take care of that for me. So, because I trust her and I don't trust you. But regardless, and like I said, when we went to Exhibit 2, so the lady just blew right to Exhibit 2, so like, oh, thank God. And then we gave him a notice of a claim of trespass. So people probably getting confused what I'm saying when I say making a claim of trespass. And that's what I said in my suit. I said I made a notice of a claim of trespass. So like, wait a second, Carl. You made a claim of trespass, but it's given in the form of a notice. You did a notice of a claim. Yes, it's like a notice of a lien. It's not the actual lien, but the lien is coming. I have in my heart, in my mind, that there is a claim. Now, I'm going to give you notice that I'm going to move my claim. I'm going to present my claim to the world. So right now, I'm just giving it to you in the form of a notice that I have a claim coming. Like, say, I was making a claim for gold. I found gold over them dark hills. But I'm not ready to submit the paperwork to the court yet, or to the county recorder's office yet, or to the claims office yet. I'm not ready. But I'm just letting you know I got a belief that I found gold. Now, I'm just getting all the coordinates, the longitude, the latitude. I'm just setting up all the exhibits. I'm just setting it up. But I believe I have a claim over at the other side of that hill. So if anybody comes in the next 2 or 3 days and they have a claim and it's already prepared, I'm letting you folks know I already have a claim working and it's in progress. So at least that'll give me the ability to move my claim before the court and maybe have standing for a claim. So obviously I made a suit, and I presented a case to the court clerk's office, and obviously I called it. I said I'm going to appear as, Karl Lentz, man, claimant. And a claimant is somebody, or a person, or a man, or a woman, who's seeking the recovery of property. And that's what it means. The recovery of a right or recovery of property. And this is what I made a suit on the very first line, saying that the wrongdoer is trespassed by failure to restore the property. They have that which is mine. And I asked them, I wish for its return. And we actually recorded it on the day before Christmas Eve, I think. We recorded it. We called up the director of social services, Anita Harris lady, and they had me on some sort of conference call with the caseworker and somebody else. And I just said it was my wish to have the restoration of that which is mine for the holiday season. Thank you for taking it and securing it and protecting it. Now I wish it to be delivered upon I and my person for the holiday seasons. And they basically told me to go pound salt. Oh, thank God I recorded all this. Because why that's a benefit that I recorded it is because I believe you should try to settle it on the private side. So they had noticed I was going to make a claim of trespass. I called them and I tried to negotiate with them. And they basically just told me there's no way that that's going to happen. And how I was trying to figure out a way to get them to hang up on me so I could say, or tell me no or something like that. In many ways as they tell me no as possible. And they were telling me many ways of the word no. So then I said to the lady, is it with capacity to return that which is mine? And she tried to say that it is in the court's hands. I said, who is moving the court? And she said, whatever it's called, Valley Services. I'm asking all of that. Valley Community Services. Oh, hey, Don.
Oh, do you want me to play it?
Yeah, if you got it, man, do it.
Okay, I'm just going to play it now.
Good. It gives me a chance to eat a piece of toast.
Okay, it's on for 12 minutes, so I'm going to play it now.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Hey, it sounds good, man. I can hear it.
Your phone because my supervisor's going to sit in on with me. Okay?
Sure.
All right. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I got an email from my director saying that you had left a voicemail for her.
No, I talked to Anita personally. I just got off the phone with her.
Okay. I thought it was a voicemail. I'm sorry. And was it about visitations with your children?
No, ma'am. It's that, it's not so much visitations with my children. The children are within Valley Community Services program. And I just want, the holiday seasons are coming. And I'm...
One more time. You're either breaking up and I can't hear you.
Yeah, the holiday seasons are here. And I wish to have the children with me during the holiday seasons. Christmas, New Year's. So what's it going to take to have that happen?
Well, we're closed on Christmas and we're closed on New Year's, and at this point, since the children are in the Department of Social Services custody, and we have to go through the court in order for you to get custody back, which involves you doing work in a servicing with us.
Ma'am, I've never lost legal custody of my children.
Well, your mother had custody.
No, ma'am. We already went through that. My mom's standing right here, and she found out the other day that there is no court order giving her legal custody. I transferred custody to my mother and her husband with my wife at a Chuck E. Cheese. We did not do it in a courthouse. There is no court order, ma'am. So please don't be condescending and trying to make me believe that I don't have legal custody of my kids, because I do, and so does the mother. And we wish them to be returned immediately, not some day when you decide to assemble court. They're our children. They're not yours.
Well, at this point, the Department of Social Services does have custody. There is a court order right now.
But, ma'am, the court order has nothing to do with I, the mom, or what is mine. The court has no jurisdiction over my children. I haven't given them custody. I haven't agreed to surrender my children to your court. Whose court is this? Well, what do you call your court?
Augusta County Court.
Okay, so who is moving the case through that court?
Judge Phillips.
Who?
Judge Phillips.
No. He is the one who's... No, the judge is the one who's like the referee or the witness. Who ordered the court to be assembled? Who brought the petition to the court?
It would be Shenandoah Valley Department of Social Services.
Ma'am, it would be a who. Who put the petition before the court?
It would be Shenandoah Valley Department of Social Services.
Do you have that man or woman's phone number?
It would be the department that has custody, not an individual.
Well, that's what I'm saying, ma'am. Somebody had to write the petition. Some man or woman had to petition the court. Somebody had to put their name on it. Because these are children. These aren't a cause. These aren't a bicycle. These are children.
Karl Lentz, you have asked for to see your children and to have them.
No, ma'am. I require the return of my children immediately.
And so at this point, the department does have custody. The Augusta County Juvenile Domestic Relations Court has given us custody.
Okay, so the bottom line is what I'm trying to say is you do not wish to return them immediately?
No, we do not.
Okay, so you wish to use them and enjoy them during this holiday season, and I can't use and enjoy them? I can't be with them and they can't be with me?
If you would like to talk about visitation...
No, ma'am, no, not talk about visitation. And what I'm talking about is, whose children are they?
Biologically, they are your children.
Okay, biologically they're mine. Okay, so they are mine. Are they yours?
At this point, we have custody.
Ma'am, whether you took it by gunpoint or not is irrelevant. You have custody because you had guns and you took them away. Okay, that's irrelevant how you took and carried them off, whether it was stealing or legal procedure or it's a legal seizure. Bottom line is they're mine, they're not yours. But what are you doing with that which is mine? If you wish to have what's mine, that's fine, but you're going to have to compensate me or return them. Do you wish to either compensate me or do you wish to return them at this point?
Mr. Lentz, at this point, if you would like to see your children, then you are within your right to petition the court for custody.
Ma'am, do you understand what petition means? Do you understand that means to supplicate myself to a higher deity or a God or a higher authority? Do you understand the petition means to beg to God? That court, whatever you're assembling, that court is not my God. Do you understand literally what the word petition means? Do you have any idea what I do for a living? Do you understand I wrote a law dictionary?
Mr. Lentz, I am not going to debate this with you. If you wish to see your children, you may petition the court.
Ma'am, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to tender a bill to Anita Harris today. I'm going to have to serve it upon her because you folks wish to keep that which is mine that is not yours. You wish to use and enjoy it. Ma'am, you took it by gunpoint. Bottom line, you people used guns to remove that which is mine from me. Did you not? Did you ask me to voluntarily surrender them? No. You took them by gunpoint. You have some sort of court within your family services, within your organization. It's not my court. It's some administrative agency court. It's not a judicial court. It's an administrative agency. So, is this with your internal policy? You have some sort of policy. I'm not a Virginian. My children aren't Virginians. I'm not a citizen of Virginia. They're not a citizen of Virginia. So you folks have something that's mine that's not yours. And you don't wish to return it, you're saying. And somebody petitioned the court to take that which was mine away from me and give it to somebody else or something else. But bottom line, some man or woman went to a court and said, I want to take that which is Karl's away from him and give it to somebody else or give it to ourselves so we can use and enjoy it. And Karl can't use and enjoy it. So this is what I was trying to tell you folks. I don't understand why you folks call me without legal competent counsel sitting next to you folks. Because this is law that I'm speaking. You believe that somebody just come in with a petition, beg the court, beg their friend who's a judge, to sign an order to come and steal some man's property. And you can just take and carry it off because you and your friends decide to take it for whatever reason. I've done nothing illegal. I've never been charged with a crime. I've never been charged with doing any wrong to any child on planet Earth. They are my mother's children. Why can't we just walk in there and come and get them back? You have them, that's fine. You found out that the state of Alabama said that this was a proper placement, a proper school, a proper facility, a proper home. They gave the certification that we were good to go. We placed them in this facility, we placed them in this home. You found out something went wrong in this home? Fine. Now the mom and dad will come and say, thank you for protecting and securing that which is ours and not yours. We'll take them and place them someplace else. Thank you very much. Well, you believe you folks have the authority to not surrender the children back to the parents on a voluntary placement. Anytime the parents wish to have the children returned on a voluntary placement, they must be returned immediately. That is actually within your code. And honestly, we didn't voluntarily place them with you. So, I have no idea what legal authority you are going to hold that which is mine. Do you have any basis on how you're going to hold it other than some woman or some man petitioned a judge lady or a judge man to take something from me? So two people got together. It's called a conspiracy. They conspired to move, and they decided to do this. That's lovely.
At this point, Mr. Lentz, I think you need to go to the courthouse and you need to speak there.
Ma'am, there's who do I speak to? And a judge is a what? I need to know who the man or woman is.
There's this office that you go to speak to, and they will direct you in the way you need to go.
Ma'am, this is what I'm trying to say. This is going to be very simple. I'm trying to settle this on the private side. I'm going to have a process of a come up there and hand you folks.
On the private side, we are legally bound by the state laws.
Ma'am, it's not a state law. It's an administrative policy. You act under an administrative policy. You don't act under the acts of the legislators. You act under the executive branch. It's administrative policy. And when you talk about state law, it's really a state code. It's the code of Virginia, not the public law. Ma'am, you will not be able to go to Richmond and pull out the public law, roll it out, and show exactly where you get the authority to do this. It's been codified. It's written into a code. Then your administrative policies are written the governor's office, through the executive branch. This is not a state law, ma'am. So when you keep saying state law, it's not a state law. It's an administrative policy. It's an administrative code. It's an act of the legislature, which codified into the Code of Virginia of 1975 or I don't know if it's 1975. I think it's 1975. But regardless, ma'am, 1950. Sorry about that. Alabama's 1975.
Lance, you had called here to ask if you could have your children.
No, ma'am, I didn't ask. I require the return immediately.
Yes,
No, ma'am.
Is there anything else that you would like to say before we terminate this call?
Okay, okay, I need to know exactly what your name is, because I'm going to have a process server come up there and hand you some papers.
And so
I'm going to have a process server, ma'am, summon you to court.
Summon me to court?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not going through family court because I know it's a joke. We're going to go across the street to a circuit court to a court of record.
Central Valley Social Services is the custodian of your children.
No, ma'am, that's a what. It's not a who. It doesn't matter. No, ma'am. Ma'am, you are the one who determines whether or not are you the one who determines whether or not I get my children returned?
Children to you. You can contact the court if you would like.
No, I did contact the court across the street. I will not go to family court. Family court is an administrative court. It is not a judicial court. Ma'am, I require to know your name. I'll call up Anita and find out who just told me that they are not going to return my children. Do you have the power to return my children, yes or no? Who there does? Anita? Does Anita Harris have this, and you just want me to call her? Who's got the authority to take that which is mine and return it to me?
I think you're handling that really well. You're calm and you're very clear.
I appreciate it, Don. That was fantastic. So hopefully that'll help everybody to show them how I approach this. And I tried to settle it on the private side. How she was trying to tell me to go petition family court, which means to prostrate yourself or supplicate yourself before God or a deity, which basically means you just open yourself up and you allow do what he wills to you. So you open yourself up and you accept anything that this guy wearing a black robe wants to do to you. As I explained, it's like Donald was like a high priestess or high priest used to do 1,000, 10,000 years ago. You could go and you would have to abide by his authority. And authority means is an imposed order compared to freedom. So they have these authoritative figures like a high priest, a high priestess, that would impose orders upon you, tell you to go do this because I got a channel straight through God. And God says if you don't do this, this farming village will be destroyed. This farming village will not get rain, or will get too much rain, will get flooded, or will be too dry. So you better do what, the high priest or the high judge tells you to do. So then if you tell them to go F off, well, the first thing that happens to the community, the judge is going to say, well, the reason why we're having this pestilence, famine, flood is because Karl Lentz told me to go F off, and he appeased the gods. And now the gods are really pissed. So, you know what, we're going to have to punish Karl for not doing what I told him to do because I have the channel directly straight through God. I'm not petitioning any effing man on planet Earth. That's effing insane. I'm never going to fucking petition a man thinking that he's got a channel through God, a higher deity, or he is my God. That's obscene. Even tell me to go petition something or somebody. That's obscene. You want to tell me to petition God? Oh, you better believe I will. You better believe I do every day. But you better believe I'm not going to do that to another flesh and blood being. That's obscenity. This is how obscene that these people have become, or have been for the last 10,000 years. They haven't evolved. They still believe that there's some sort of high priestess or high priest or temple telling me to supplicate myself to their control because they have a direct link, because they're some sort of supreme being. They have supreme knowledge. They're the ultra wise. They got this magical wisdom that I could only hope that they would bestow upon me, and that I could act according to what they wish to impose upon me. That's what authority means. If you want to Google what authoritarian means, it means that which is imposed orders compared to freedom. So my mom's like attorney said that Karl has a very bad track history of abiding by authority. Of course, that means imposed orders. So you could Google authoritarian, and it means imposed orders compared that to freedom. So yes, has Karl always had a problem with imposed orders? Yes. If it's voluntary orders, oh, I love them. I love them. Oh, you're going to order me to do something? Oh, I love it. Oh, you're going to impose these orders on me? That's fine too, but I want to see compensation because I'm not part of your crew, and I'm not part of your family, and I'm not your citizen, and I don't have a governor. I don't have a governess. What I do know is what you see is man, and you see him self-governing the best I can, and I'm using God the petition to every day, saying, God, which way should I go? And I let God decide. And that's the way I flow. So, back to the lawsuit. I said said wrongdoers to return that which is mine and or compensate. Simple. I think I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. Return that which is mine or compensate. Make it nice and simple. I said, the last thing was, let's say, said I order said court to grant to, said I, compensation. See Exhibit 4. In Exhibit 4, we did a lovely invoice from Microsoft Word. Looks real cool. I even put the icon on there that I do with my invoice pads over in England, the pawn with the image of the shadow of the Queen. And I wrote customer's name, Anita Harris, address, Dick Hoff Lane, Verona, 540-245-5800. And I wrote days on one column, 30 days, quantity, one 13-year-old girl, days, quantity, one 11-year-old girl, daily rate, $86,400, total $2,592,000. Cost of the use,